We've also sort of included this post-podcast discussion before we've technically finished. we haven't done a sign-off or anything.
Somebody needs to sign off.
Somebody sign off. I thought I was going to just say this is the longest podcast we've ever done, and that would basically have been it.
Oh, is that the end?
That was going to be the end, and then you kept talking. Did you hear the one about the Englishman, the Scotsman, and the Irishman that walked into the podcast? It's the Split Screen Podcast, Episode 5. I'm joined by the inimitable Craig Wilson, who is currently in a fit of mild laughter. I'm also joined...
mild is the right level.
Well, I did say it was going to be a mildly humorous introduction. I did tone it down a bit. We're also joined by a very special guest today who did not want me to say this. He's an award-winning creative writer. He is the founder of Game Gripe, the world's grumpiest games website, and he used to write for PC Zone for us.
Second grumpiest games website after the Ram Raider blog, which is no longer in action. But it's still far grumpier than me.
So let's have a big split screen welcome for Rick Lane. Yay! That's as enthusiastic as we get right here, unfortunately.
That's about the most enthusiastic response that's ever... I've ever had from anyone, so that's fine.
Fantastic. Well, it's
man of optimism, folks.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here.
That's why I write Game Gripe.
This week's podcast is going to be about PC gaming, specifically the future of PC gaming. I know we've called it a very PC podcast, which is some kind of lame pun like we normally do.
Yeah.
But I guess it's we've partly invited Rick on here because he's a big PC gaming fan and he's a good PC gaming stick we can beat, the straw man.
But otherwise it'd just be the two of us.
I hope it's just a metaphorical thing.
It'd be the two of us just forming half-formed opinions with no counter-argument. Yeah, well, it's kind of rubbish, isn't it? Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So you've invited me to provide my half-formed counter-argument.
Yeah, and then together we might form.
So it's just one rubbish argument.
Yeah. PCs are good because you get to use keyboard and mouse.
So you got a half-formed argument, and then you've just got no form response. So that's a really good start. So how did everybody get into PC games then? What was your first PC like, Craig?
First PC was some Windows thing, which had the kind of blue...
That narrows it down.
It had the word processor, was one of those blue background ones.
Like a DOS machine?
It must have been a DOS machine then. This is how, I don't really know. I don't know the Latin names for what my old PCs were. But I had that, and there was an old sort of golf game on it. But they were always very low power kind of PCs.
Sounds like a floppiest discus.
Yeah, so the extent of my kind of PC gaming was Championship Manager, I think every other kid in Scotland, and then
XL95.
Yeah, and Roller Coaster Tycoon, and that's been about it until I got a new laptop about a few years ago.
Fair enough.
So I'm fairly new to it.
Well, I mean, contrary to popular belief, I used to be a really big PC gamer. My first PC was a Gateway 2000 box, with the cowprint boxes. Yeah. And it came with such classic titles as Command & Conquer Red Alert, and X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, and The Magic School Bus, Explore Space.
I remember that show.
Actually, The Magic School Bus Ocean had a really good game where you had to play as fish going through the deep ocean, and you had these sort of bright lights, and you'd be like, that must be the goal. And it was an angler fish. You were caught out just like the fish. Evolution works. It fooled me as much as it fools a fish.
Actually, I remember now you're saying that. The first PC gaming experience, we had a PC at school that would get wheeled about on a trolley between classrooms at primary school.
Sure, it wasn't like a crash cart.
It got wheeled between trolleys.
Yeah, and you would hear it rattling down the corridor the technology's coming. And,
all bow to the PC.
And it had,
that doesn't happen anymore.
Zumbinis on it and some other sort of logic-y math game.
Oh, I used to have... Did you ever play Pod? We had BBC Micros in our school, and it had two games which were Pod, and Pod was this... it's just a big tomato, and you typed in jump, and Pod would go bloop, and the sound effects were always really good back in those days. So Pod can run and go up, 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 and you would see his feet moving, and then of course, me being 8, I'd be like, fart. I would just say, Pod can't fart, and that was even funnier.
We used to have this weird contraption making game. It was and you used to put girders and stuff up, and then you could put balls on, the balls would roll down the
girders.
Was
that called The Incredible Machine or something?
I think it was, yeah. And
Fantastic Contraption is another one which is similar to that.
Yeah, I just remember that because there was a duck or chicken thing, and you could actually kill the duck or chicken and by rolling a cannonball onto its head, and it would just go like that, and then you can't see what I just did. But
was this game sponsored by Bernard Matthews? And it turned out that all you could make was a factory farm for the slaughter.
But it would have little crosses on its eyes and everything. It was just really. And then there was another one called Betsy. It was and it was this little point-and-click adventure game with a dog, and it was supposed to be educational. It was sent Tudor Times or something. Mm-hmm. And I remember there was there's a bit where you kind of, there's like this bear baiting guy, and he tries to get the dog to come with it, and everybody in the class was going, "Don't click on him, he'll take it." So I did, and he takes you away, and the dog dies, and then I was banned from using the computer for half an hour
for killing
this virtual dog.
I think when we tried to do like a sort of light-hearted intro, we've tapped into some to some unfortunate, like, suppressed memories.
Oh well, I was going to talk about the only other games I have are from BBC Micro. There's one called Catch, which is a fishing simulator where you get to go to the Hebrides, and possibly the scariest game I've ever played, which is called Granny's Garden. You guys familiar with this?
No.
It's an educational point-and-click adventure, and I know I was threatened to put pictures up on the podcast website, but I swear this time I'm going to. And so Granny's Garden, these kids and their parents have been imprisoned by a witch somewhere. So you go through the portal in Granny's Garden, Narnia style, to this mountain land. And it's one of these things like, there is a house, do you go in? Yeah, I'm going to the house. Yeah, it's like, there's a door to your left, and the kitchen, and a cupboard. Where do you go? Cupboard. In the cupboard, you see, a bucket and a broom. What do you do? Pick up bucket. And then the witch comes, wah, 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 wah. And the witch is the most hideous thing you've ever seen, and it just says, you're like, and her lips animate like a crocodile's jaws, and it says, "Now I'm going to send you home." And that was the scariest thing I'd ever played. And I still shiver when I see the face of that horrible witch. So there you go. That's my childhood memories. That and peeing myself in Primary 1. That's pretty much it.
Nice.
The first one I actually owned was it was a 400 megahertz PC.
Wow.
I remember it was 400 megahertz because it had like a little box on the PC tower, and it used to come up 400 in like green.
This is impressive.
Green numbering, yeah.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, 400 megahertz.
Mine was 300, so a good bit of one-upmanship going on.
My
there.
dad's was only 233, so I was like, yeah, mine's better than yours.
What a
You
win.
see, this already is now like bordering into what I imagine when people say PC gaming. It's a lot of numbers,
Right, well.
with a lot of units beside it, a lot of specifications for things I don't really understand what RAM means.
Well, I can up the stakes, because after my first computer, which, it was such an old computer that I remember the hard drive failed, and we had to get a bigger one that came with it, because it didn't make 8 gig hard drives anymore. Seems comical now, because you can get like a 16 gig flash drive for 30 quid. And I got a Dell Dimension that had a 1 gigahertz processor. And that was like the first time the gigahertz barrier was broken.
Step aside, NASA.
And then, no,
Your time has passed.
watch out, Kasparov, I'm going to take you down with this beast. But the other funny thing about it was that it didn't even have like standard DDR RAM. It had RAM bus. You familiar? It's called RD RAM, and
You could hear the blank stare.
yeah, I've beaten Rick. He's out. He's going to go, RAM bus? Why would you magic school bus in the RAM
Like
bus?
a
Why so many
bus for
buses?
sheep.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, the only other thing that uses that now is the PS3. That computer was great. I mean, it ran Max Payne like a champ.
Oh, Max Payne.
Oh, Max Payne. We're gonna have more Max Payne memories. But I used to play PC games all the time, because I had my Sega Saturn, and then everybody bought a PlayStation instead. So from about say 97 to basically whenever I got my Xbox, which is around 2001, 2002, I was a big PC gaming fiend. I love all those classics.
So I guess we've been sort of banding around the term PC gaming a bit to sort of give it a little bit of a definition. I'm going to pose with somewhat, well, at least it sounded controversial. I think the fact that we've somewhat talked about it a little bit, again, before the podcast where we made most of our good jokes.
Yeah, well, it's good to get them out of the way.
I was going to say, to me, there isn't as much a thing as PC gaming anymore. And what I used to think of PC gaming was that it was connected to the internet. It was how you could play online multiplayers. You would get patches that would fix stuff in the game, or that would add new stuff. You would get a lot of the expansion packs, and you never used to get for PCs. And that was always this thing I would look at in the store, going, "Oh, you need this game to play this other game."
Like Quake, Scourge of Armagon, and
there was the whole talking, those IM and sort of voice over IP stuff, and playing things in LAN. I mean, that was the only way. Like before, the most sort of you would have would be like a 4-player on GoldenEye. I mean, the idea that you can go in and drop into like, I think Frontline Fields of War, or no, MAG for the PS3, which is like 256 players.
Yeah.
Not saying that's 256 times better than being on your own, but
256 douchebags giving us an online shooter and a console.
But like that kind of thing that used to be the home of sort of PC games, whereas I see a lot of that now is being subsumed into the kind of console.
I guess it's interesting that it took so long for console gaming to catch up, because I can remember things like the Sega Saturn Netlink modem, and you get like a Saturn network kit. PS1 had a network, like a link cable.
PS2 had a kind of modem that you could slot in, but it never really went anywhere. Dreamcast was before its time in that it had the
Dreamcast
thing
had the 33k modem, and you could whap a broadband adapter into it. And I think it probably was the turning point, but certainly with the Saturn and PlayStation, they did try things like online gaming and, well, not so much VoIP, but certainly online and LAN gaming, and it just didn't really take off. I don't know if it was because the technology
Dreamcast was just generally so before its time that nobody liked it.
I don't even like the Dreamcast, and I'm a big Mega Sega fanboy. Okay, this is my definitive guide to Sega consoles. Mega Drive, awesome. Saturn, crap hardware, great games. Dreamcast, great hardware, crap games. There you go.
Can't really argue.
Neither can I.
Yeah,
had any of them.
You're blown away. Don't even need to do an article. The best Mega Drive games. My word is gospel.
I went Mega Drive, PC. That's. I wasn't a PC gamer first. I was a Mega Drive gamer first. So
where did it all go wrong?
When I sat on for my first PC and went, holy shit, this is awesome.
Don't swear in the podcast, Rick. This is children listen to this.
That's true. That's the first swear.
I think I swore out. I must have sneaked out an F word last time. I don't know if you cut it out.
I did, yeah.
You got a cow over it.
Well, no, that was the second one.
No,
and then I also swore at the end of one of the podcasts, which I just cut that off. And we ended
no more bad words.
Okay.
I've got soap, and I'm not afraid to wash your mouth out with. Well, now we're in 2011, and I guess things are very different. We've got Portal 2 coming out next week, which has Steam cross-platform play with the PS3. So you can, when you buy Portal 2 for the PS3, you get a free PC copy as well.
But what does that say other than Valve want to hook into that console audience and get them to first of all have Steam, and then once you've got Steam, they can sell you hats. We've covered this.
Are you saying that companies don't give things away for free? I mean, look at Google. Are you saying Google out to make money instead of being really nice?
Maybe they're trying to persuade the PS3 gamers to come back to the PC with the free PC game, and then they play it on the PC, and they go, "Oh, well, this
where
is
it's warm inside, and you get nice, cookies and milk, and everything's lovely on the PC. You don't have to sit in front of your TV anymore in your big comfy armchair with your 50-inch TV. You can crouch in front of a monitor. Stay PC. It's awesome.
That's true. I mean, that was like the sort of first interesting definition I heard between like PC gaming and consoles. That kind of PC is like lean forward. Like you feel a game like Civilization, you'll feel yourself sort of lurching forward to the screen, kind of hunkering over keyboard, playing more. Whereas kind of console games are more sort of lean back, and sort of chill out on a couch kind of thing.
I guess PC games might feel like work because whenever I'm on a PC, you're just kind of like, right, it's work time now, it's business time. And you are sitting crouched over, like, right, it's time to game. And I know quite recently I plugged my MacBook into my TV and played Civ 5 on the TV. So I had my wireless keyboard and mouse, and I sort of leaned back in the armchair like I was at the deck of the Enterprise. It was really comfortable. It was good. But I suppose with Civ 5, there's quite a lot of text you have to read, so you do have to kind of lean in. And I think PC games certainly are a lot more text heavy. Like you wouldn't get something like Baldur's Gate. Imagine playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. In fact, you can play Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 and possibly 3 on the Xbox. And I believe they are pants because the screen resolution is just not good enough to display that kind of information.
I kind of feel like it's a more kind of intense and kind of purer way of playing games. This is like a game supremacist sort of thing.
Before it was all before the muddy
Stand
blood
down,
of the
Rick,
console.
put your hand down.
I don't know. It's like, I feel like it's the difference between.
Rick, where did you get that tattoo? I watched the American.
It's a picture of a monitor, guys. It's just a monitor. It's not a swastika at all.
Why is the eagle carrying the monitor? What's that got to do with it?
But no, like you can go deep on some PC games.
Well, I feel like it's kind of the difference between like watching TV and going to the cinema. Like when you watch TV, you kind of chill out and you can maybe have some friends around and you chat while you're watching whatever it is. I don't know, Friends. I don't watch much TV, so when did Friends finish?
It's still rerunning. It never finishes.
Friends can't be killed.
The sun will burn out before Friends stops being on TV.
And even after the sun burns out, solar-powered generators will run Friends. By the time the sun's light reaches us, we'll still be going.
But yeah, so you kind of you sit back and maybe with friends, maybe and you watch TV. Whereas with PC games, you sit down and you put your headphones on and you're in, and and there's nothing else kind of that distracts you from playing your game. So.
No, I agree. I think whenever you're sitting down to play a console, it's like just flipping on the TV, whereas a PC game is an event.
Yeah.
Something you sit down specifically to do. And if you look at, I guess, the big PC boom in the 90s, right? If you go to say, let's go back in time to 1993. Oh, I'm so young and immature. PC game at the time, Doom. Console game at the time, Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Both games have a lot of multiplayer aspects to them, but think about the way people are playing them. Mario Kart is 4 people, 1 console. In fact, 2 people, 1 console, and a bag of Doritos. And Doom is a game. And Doom, it's you playing with people over the internet in a darkened room on your own with a large bag of Watsits probably and a glass of milk. So I that's probably the worst analogy I've ever made. But what I'm trying to say is that console games are, by definition, probably more casual and more multiplayer oriented, at least in a more social multiplayer aspect.
Yeah, but that you can't really say that is the case anymore. I mean, unless you're sort of looking at the Wii and probably what Kinect are trying to do, because the best games to play on the Xbox or the PS3 sort of require you to be on your own machine. I mean, my 2 flatmates I lived with last year, we would play Left 4 Dead or Call of Duty, but we would be in separate rooms, talking to each other through headphones, going through Xbox Live, that we could sort of hear through the walls. So
on the flip side, you've got. I mean, you say like Xbox is more casual, but there's a massive casual gaming kind of community on the PC now. Like, I mean, you asked the question, what is like a PC gamer? You know, maybe if you'd asked that question 10 years ago, you would have been able to say, well, people like me. But
yeah, I'd say people like me. I'm a guy like me.
Elaborate on that. What's a person like you? Like?
Sad and overweight.
People don't know that. They can't see you. You need to talk about your personality. You need to be positive. You're selling yourself here. Come on. This is a new audience for you.
Anyway, what I'm saying is, you know, a PC gamer can be anybody from like a 10-year-old kid playing Farmville to, you know...
my 40-year-old aunt who plays Farmville.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know anyone who plays Farmville, apart from, well...
The actual numbers have dropped off on Farmville, to say. They peaked, they got up to 80 million active players, and now it's down to 40 million.
Did everybody realise that what a real computer game was then?
Probably that it doesn't go anywhere. But it was actually interesting, just not to side rail it too much into.
What do you mean goals and objectives? What are these things? Oh my god, games!
But that's like the benefit of.
But you say that, and goals and objectives. What are these things? What about Minecraft? No goals and objectives in Minecraft.
Yeah,
they're kind of like.
I was just gonna say, like, the PC is still where I see the most innovative and the most interesting games coming out of. I mean, like, in terms of just what I've played in the past year, like, I mean, Minecraft, I mean, that wouldn't just happen. That wouldn't have existed. I know that's sort of an obvious thing to say, wouldn't exist on the console, but the community that's grown around it, in terms of, it's one of those games which is great to watch other people play and to see how they've played it and to see what they've made. And
well, I've enjoyed watching you guys play Minecraft. I haven't played it yet.
Yes, but like to get all that going, you kind of need there to be like forums where people can take pictures and post it, or the YouTube videos as well. I mean, you just type Minecraft into YouTube and you'll just see like all sorts of weird shit.
Minecraft is the game that Spore tried to be.
That's true. Yeah.
And failed.
Yeah.
Hello. What's interesting is you're talking about Minecraft being a game unique to the PC, but have you seen what I believe is called Frontiercraft? Or something like that.
Fortresscraft.
Fortresscraft. That's the one. Which is a port of Minecraft, or essentially a rip-off of Minecraft on Xbox Live.
Yeah,
so that's a game that people said couldn't be done on consoles.
I think because like Minecraft was like the source sort of idea from that was something called Infiniminer, which someone else developed, and it's essentially the block building kind of thing. And they released that as open source code, and then the sort of Mahjong guys took it into Minecraft. So I think this guy's probably, from the sounds of it anyway. Well, in my sort of accusations here.
I read an interview with him, and obviously it is quite controversial because you look at it, it just looks like Minecraft with avatars. It's possibly the most horrible thing I can think of. But whenever you do an interview with the guy, he says, "Oh yeah, my inspiration was this game called Dwarf Fortress, which is this really stupid
I'm going to
2D dungeon crawler game.
Yeah.
It's nothing like Minecraft, except that Fortress Craft not only has a craft in the name, but looks like Minecraft." But the problem with me for Minecraft now is they've set a date for the launch, and so I would have been tempted to pick it up in beta, but now I'm just going to wait, and it can be my game when I'm having a break from Skyrim.
You'll probably start thinking that, but when you actually play it, Skyrim will become your break from playing Minecraft, because that's how it happens.
I don't know. I'll probably think, like, whenever I'm shaving off my Skyrim beard, because I haven't left my room in 5 days, I'm thinking, Minecraft, that'll do while I shave. I can play that one-handed. I don't know. I think we've touched on everything. No, that's the podcast over, right? So see you later. So unfortunately, it seems that Rick and I have prepared some kind of intense debate here. So we've put up a series of points and counterpoints. I don't know if we just want to tear through them and argue with each other, and Craig's going to sit as arbiter and try and break up the fight that ensues.
I'm just going to sit here and look stupid because I can't remember anything. But
that's fine. That's fine by me. It makes me look better.
Okay, so I believe the Right Honourable Alan Williamson from the county of Edinburgh approaching the stand with something to discuss
have I got the
House of
conch?
Lords.
You do indeed have the conch.
So, what's PC gaming like in 2011? And this is me being deliberately argumentative and sarcastic, which I'm not known for doing, but I thought I would break from tradition just for today. Okay, PC gaming in 2011 is incompatibility and crashes. Now, Rick told me a nice story about how he was playing Amnesia: The Dark Descent, which he very kindly bought for me for my birthday last year, and I promise I will play one day. But he said the beta version worked fine, but he got the review, and then he got the full version, and it didn't work on his PC anymore.
No, it does work. It's just...
Wait, Mr. Lane, Mr. Williamson has the floor.
Hey, this is
Mr.
excellent.
Williamson, please continue.
I wish.
Don't cross the sword line.
I'm considering getting Rick into the podcast just to break up you and me in the future. You can just sit there as a passive party. But I mean, the problem with PC gaming for me is I don't want to have to sit and look at the specs. I don't want to hunt for a patch. My worst PC gaming experience was Outcast. I don't know if you've heard about that.
The rap band?
Yeah.
That urban band?
No, it's a... Oh, God.
It's a game that famously uses voxels rather than pixels. That's
lovely
probably what
3D
everybody
pixels. The other one that uses voxels is Tiberian's Son.
Yeah.
But Outcast is this really good action-adventure game from the late 90s, and it's like one of Infogrames' biggest flops. You plugged in Outcast, you installed it, it just didn't work. You had to wait for Outcast patch 2 to come out, which eventually resolved that, right? So, several years later, get my new Dell 1 gigahertz turbo flopper mega monster, put Outcast in, doesn't even read the disk, because I needed Outcast patch 1, a separate patch to cover the other issue that crashed other PCs that weren't running Windows 95. And that to me just sums up PC gaming from now until eternity, and I really like that on a console you can just plug in the disk and you know what's going to work.
Patches, incompatibility issues, and install problems. Reclaim, rebuttal.
Well, I kind of think you've picked like the most notoriously awkward game to install and play ever, because Outcast is notorious for...
Well, I wasn't going to pick an easy one.
But like you say about Amnesia not working on my PC, it is actually the only game that doesn't... And it's not that it doesn't work, it's just for some reason it has a slight frame rate issue where it's a bit stuttery. And I could probably play it if I want to, but it annoys me being a PC gamer.
Have you ever considered a career in
perfect.
PR? No, it's not that it doesn't work, it just gets, frame rate problems.
I think there's a big difference between it not working and having a slight frame rate stutter, in that it is playable, it's just that I won't, because I won't play it unless it runs smooth as glass, because I've been spoilt by my new PC that just runs anything, ever, so...
Good. Does it run Crysis?
Yes, it runs Crysis on everything full. It runs Crysis on orgasm mode.
And there is, I think that is the other rebuttal to that, is that console games quite equally don't work. And at least in their multiplayer side, I mean, Call of Duty Black Ops had a bit of a rocky first week. Gears of War 3, part of the reason why they're so public on this beta that they're having for the multiplayer is because the first 2 weeks it has been not unplayable, but not satisfactory anyway, and mostly lag issues and all that kind of stuff. So it's a shared thing. But I mean, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, whenever you've got a console, there is one configuration, there's one Xbox, whereas they're not multiple Xboxing. Whereas something that like a PC game, if you buy Bulletstorm, has to work on my Mac, which is a mobile GPU that's 3 years old. It's got to work on your Acer 1. Is it an AMD? Is it an Intel? Is it an ATI? Is it an NVIDIA? What kind of pixel shader does it support? What version of DirectX does it support? What kind of Windows you're running? What's your sound drivers? What's your network drivers? There's a total smorgasbord. I could have gone on forever with that, but I decided to curtail myself. So at least with a console, there's always the confidence that it will be fixed. Whereas I think, certainly with PC games, what I've seen is there's a tendency for developers to ignore a lot of those issues and just kind of sweep it under the carpet a bit, and a lot of those bugs don't get addressed.
The weird thing is that most, like, the games with the most problems tend to be ones which are PC exclusive, and it's something that I've noticed playing PC
The most
games.
problems.
Yeah,
So
because
what's been a recent one?
Armed Assault 2 is the one I'm playing at the moment, which is a ridiculously ambitious military simulator where you can, you've got this whole island which is rendered constantly throughout the game, and you can see to the horizon. You're talking, it makes Oblivion look tiny by comparison to the size of this place, and you can do things like you can dynamically call in helicopters to take you across the map. You don't have to pilot the helicopter; you can let somebody else do it, and it will take you from point A to point B, and it actually works, which is the most astounding thing of all. But it requires a PC that's about twice as powerful as Crysis to run on the highest settings. Even my PC struggles with it. So, and things like other games like The Witcher, when that first came out, that had issues. Crysis, of course, is the classic example of a PC exclusive game that was too powerful, or required a PC that was too powerful.
Seemed quite badly coded, because certainly Warhead cleared up a lot
Warhead
of that.
cleared it all up, and it was it was actually a playable game when Warhead came out.
Stalker and Call of Pripyat.
Stalker's a
similar.
mess.
Yeah, those kind of Eastern Bloc games which are wonderfully ambitious, and I like to see that, but also, have a tendency to be incredibly buggy. But multi-platform releases most of them, they'll all load up fine.
I guess the thing with most of those games, the only exception being Crysis, which I guess Crytek are still a relatively small studio, but a lot of those are quite low budget titles. They don't necessarily have the huge resources of id Software or Epic or people like that whose games tend to be a bit more polished. You wouldn't have got Rage is, I wouldn't think, going to be broken out of the door.
No, and Doom 3 when that was PC, that was fine. And the original Far Cry as well, that was fine.
The only exception to that is obviously Bethesda, who are notorious for releasing buggy games. If Oblivion in the 360, characters will just walk off cliffs and die. You can't even stop them. You can hold the back, and go, no, turn back. But can't happen. Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas,
Fallout New Vegas was
Bugfest super extravaganza, but they're the only guys doing that, I guess.
So that's the weird thing. It's not PC games that have those problems. It's just the more ambitious games. There's one that's just come out called The Precursors, which is kind of like an RPG /shooter /space sim. So you can take off from the planets and go fight in space, and then come back down to about 6 planets,
right.
And they're all massive. It's by the guys that did Boiling Point,
yeah.
Which was one that was again hugely ambitious and hugely buggy, and this one's
the
exactly
road
the same.
To hell. Why you take a road? You're already there.
Yeah. So, but I actually read PC Gamer's review, and they said it was rubbish, and then I read Rock Paper Shotgun's review, and they said it was really, really good, but you have to put up with the bugs if you want to experience. Pardon?
Is it? What do you think?
I've not touched it yet, but I'm tempted to try it out now because of what Rock Paper Shotgun said.
Stalker, I knew was so buggy that whenever I bought it off Steam, I actually went and installed lots of mods and patches before I played it, which I think that kind of bootstrapping just seems crazy, and it also brings in another pet hate of mine, which is lengthy install sequences. And I played Metal Gear Solid 3 for the PS3. Metal Gear Solid 4 for the PS3. It's clearly turned into word cock-up week for me. And it famously has installed sequences where Snake will just sit and puff his way through a packet of cigarettes, and you think, maybe he's going to finish the cigarette and then the game will continue, but no, he just cracks another one out of the pack and keeps going. The game takes around an hour to install. It's split into about 5 chunks at the end of every act, and it loads the next chapter while Snake dies a cancerous death. And
so you've brought up your next point and then made your point against yourself, because you're a console man. Rick is PC man.
What I was going to say is, that is poop, and the installers are poop, and they shouldn't be there. But PC games all have installers; they're ubiquitous. The 360, you can do an optional install. You can copy the disk to save yourself a bit of loading time, but it's by no means mandatory. It's only the PS3 that's brought in the mandatory install.
That's true.
Installers. You could be bothered with them. Do you want to wait 2 hours to play StarCraft? I don't. Oh, what's this?
Because it's round 1 of my game show. Because I'm melding this in. It's sort of House of Lords.
But
there's a game show here. Yeah, I've got questions.
Oh, jinx.
This is like a mid-round. I'm like the girl who walks across the boxing match in the bikini, to give me sense of interest. So this is keep football.
Can we have a prize for the game show winners? Like Rick beats me, you can have a flake out of my Easter egg pack.
All right, we'll see who's on. Right, so here we go. So I'll ask you the question, right, and then you're going to give me your answer. So first question. I bought StarCraft 2 in September, and I had installed it, and I had a lot of fun installing it. I took out the nice big fancy box, and in the box there was a manual. So in the manual for StarCraft 2, was it A, 19 pages of detailed instructions on how to install the game, B, 19 pages of instructions on how to play the game, kind of breaking down the units and the different controls? Or was it C, 19 pages of StarCraft lore, mainly about the first game that I didn't buy?
I'm going to say C.
It is 19 pages of lore, because I've read the manual.
Alright, you're both correct, you both get a point.
I have not read the manual, so I should get the point.
I think I should get the point for honesty, so we're even, whatever way. No.
Alright, I'm going to give like a point each there, but I like Brick's point, so he's getting another point for Moxie. So, there's actually a quick start guide in there as well.
This is a fix.
Well, it's not in a democracy, my friend. There's actually a quick start in there on how to install the game, which had a one-page troubleshoot. So, question 2. I had to download a patch. Now, the game had been out for about a month, so this was the first major patch that came out. Did it A, download and install, but take absolutely ages? Did it B, download, freeze, and then make me download the patch again? Or did it C, download, freeze, and then make me install the full game and download the patch again?
I'm going to say C.
Alan?
I think this is a bit of a red herring. I'm going to say A.
Well, you're wrong, Alan. It was a C.
Oh,
made me
no.
made me install the full game again, download the entire patch again, and then install the patch, and it worked the second time.
That's never actually happened to me, but it reminds me of Games for Windows Live, which we should probably talk about at some point, because I really, really want to hate on Games for Windows Live, and I am not going through this podcast without getting the opportunity to do so.
This website, our website's all sunshine and rainbows. You've got your own site to have a gripe, a game gripe, if you will.
We do our killings in the stealth of night.
I've seen your Prince of Persia review. It is not all sunshine and rainbows, my friend. It is most definitely not.
Alright. So 3. How long was it before I actually got to play the game? Was it 3 hours? 6 hours? Or 3 days? A, B, or C?
6 hours.
I'm going to go for 3 days, because I know what your home internet connection's like.
It was actually 3 days, so that fixes it. So at the end of the first round, Rick is leading with 3 points. Alan's got 2 points. We'll pick this up again later.
Oh boy, well, it's close. That's a good point at which to totally kill the flow with the podcast. But I liked it. I think I'm going to come back.
That's one for the edit room, I'm sure.
So I don't think you have a comeback for the installers thing, because it's true and nobody can be arsed with that. My next point is that I think PC gamers pay more money for a, well, I sort of said lesser experience, but that's not strictly speaking true, is it? I mean, the games are a wee bit cheaper than the PC, but the kit certainly is not. So everybody's got a TV in their house, right? Even if it's a crappy 9-inch black and white portable, that's a TV. And consoles cost about, point of entry is about £150 for an Xbox, say £250 maybe. PC, you're going to need a monitor, that's £100. PC kit is not going to be less than £300. And that PC you buy is just not going to be as good as a console for gaming. It's just not.
Okay, Rick, what's in your PC and how much did it cost?
Right, okay.
You can't include bits you had before, you have to include the case and stuff. Because whenever I built one, it cost £800.
Right, so I have to include everything.
Well, but the important bits.
Yeah, the bits.
Big
well,
bits.
I might as well include everything. Okay, so the case was £25.
Okay.
Case was £25.
Oh, you doing a calculation in this?
How much was the case you bought for?
She'll not be named. About, oh god, I don't know. It was a nice aluminium one, so about £70.
Right, okay. Mine cost £25.
It's cool case though.
Right. The graphics card was the most expensive thing. That cost £120.
Okay.
Processor was £70.
Okay.
The motherboard was £40. The RAM will be another £40. Is that everything?
Hard drive.
Screen.
Hard drive, £50.
Optical drive.
No.
You don't install you see this?
CD drive.
Yeah.
DVD drive, £20. Monitor, £80.
Does your monitor have speakers?
Yeah, speakers is
No,
next.
I don't have speakers. Just the headphones.
Much is your
So
headset?
just headphones.
These were £30.
£30.
Keyboard and mouse?
Keyboard and mouse, £25 overall. Oh, my mouse was free because I got it from PC Zone. My subscription.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I didn't just get.
Didn't buy
I
it?
did get some cool stuff, but it wasn't a mouse.
And your monitor sits on a desk? No, I'm just kidding. That would be But yeah, okay, right. Craig, what's the scores?
So that came to about £520 by my count. Okay, so my rebuttal here, Alan. How much was your Xbox 360?
£250.
£250. How much is that absolutely gigantic, massive TV retail worth?
It was free because I won it in the competition.
That doesn't count. How much would it have cost anyway?
£800.
£800.
£800.
80 £80. Sorry.
800.
Oh, it's £800. Okay.
But the TV that I bought originally was 300.
All right, okay, so we'll give you the 300. So let's say, so that Xbox 360, like, does that come with internet?
What do you mean?
Like, how do you play games online?
Well, same way you play them with a PC, with your home broadband connection. Yeah.
Oh, so like the internet provider that Rick pays for, that covers the Xbox Live as well?
And that doesn't cover the Xbox Live. That'll be £50.
That'll be £50.
How much were you can?
Is that recurring? £50 every year?
That's £50 a year.
Oh
yeah.
wow, that's so how many years have you had that?
Got 2007.
So maybe say call it 3 years. We'll just call it.
Three agonising
Call that.
years.
So we'll times that by 3.
Okay.
Those big speakers there, Alan, how much are they?
They were £200 half price.
The speakers, you don't need.
Yeah, you don't need the speakers. My TV comes with speakers.
But what
That's
if
unfair.
you've forgotten the 4 controllers for your Xbox?
That's
They're
true.
about £30 each.
Well, you only need one to play and one.
But how
comes
many
with
do
it.
you have?
3.
We'll call that one more controller because you need a second controller, don't you, for these games? It's not the Wii. You can't just buy a game and get one.
No, that's true.
So we'll count the £300 TV there. So that's what was that?
Have you?
Technically speaking, that setup was £830 compared to the PC's £520.
Okay, how many people do you know that have a TV in their house? Because I would probably say everyone.
An
Whereas
HD TV.
That's
true,
a hell of a lot
yeah.
of people do have them. So the whole point of the console is the TV shouldn't be included in the cost because everyone's got one anyway.
I think it's sort of getting to the point though, because I've got a friend who doesn't have an HD TV, and he is very vocal about how he can read any of the text in Bulletstorm, and he can. I know Banjo-Kazooie as well. That's been
Dead
patched.
Rising
Fix
as
it.
well.
Dead Rising as well. Mass Effect, I imagine, maybe, because there's quite a lot of text in that, isn't it?
I don't know.
So
maybe. No, actually, I
No?
played it in the standard def TV over Christmas,
Okay,
and
well-
it's fine actually.
Well, some games are HD.
Well, minus the TV, how much did that setup cost?
Well, minus the TV, it's about 530 actually.
Right.
So it's about the same.
That's what was always my argument. It's about the same.
About
And
the
also
same
when
once
you
you add it
factor
in.
in games costs, your games on an Xbox cost £40,
Yeah.
maybe 35. Games on a PC will cost 20 to 25
Yeah.
per pop, so long as you're sensible where you buy them.
I'll accept that. That seems
So like
reasonable.
that show price of setting up,
Pretty
basically
same,
about the
yeah.
same, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
felt that it was much closer than what. Because to be honest, I would have said that PC gaming is more expensive. It's just nowhere near, as much more expensive as people, make it out to be.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I suppose the other thing is whenever you buy a console is that it probably lasts for longer. I mean, the Xbox 360 has been out since 2005, and I don't know if you bought a PC, built a PC in 2005, that it's going to be as capable as an Xbox will in 2011. Because, okay, even if it's going to be less powerful, developers work to the lowest common denominator, which is a 360. So if you think about a PC you would have built for the same amount for your £300 in 2005, is that going to run Bulletstorm the same way an Xbox will in 2011? Because I don't think it necessarily would. I'm not trying
My
to...
PC was upgraded, not entirely new, upgraded about 18 months ago.
And would you say, in terms of a crisis,
My old one,
general level, did that take you from like medium to high? Or?
yeah, it took me from medium to high. My
Okay.
old one my old one ran Crisis, but you couldn't get it up to the high settings, not without killing it. So, whereas my new one, it just reases it, and I reckon this new PC will be fine until the next batch of consoles comes out, whenever they come out. That's when the next upgrade.
Is that not still 2 upgrades within the same cycle as it?
Yeah, but my upgrade wasn't much. My upgrade was like £200.
Yeah, okay. Because I think...
And also, like, you could sort of argue to an extent that Connect and Move are sort of a next generation, although it's not doing much on a
It's the next generation money spinner, certainly.
yeah, but I think they're just sort of wanting to get the long legs. Oh, this doesn't make sense. Want to get long legs on the console? Is that?
If it would help heat dissipation.
Took a second to get that there. Yeah.
I believe fully that PC gaming is more expensive. It's just not as much. You're not talking thousands of pounds as people will claim, unless you're stupid and you go and buy an Alienware rig, brand new.
Yeah.
The water cooling,
Yeah.
glowy bits on the inside.
Yeah, the
It's got a
one.
Barracuda inside, just because it can.
Yeah. For that extra cost, you do get, I think, a better gaming experience, because you get your higher resolution graphics for a start, and you get the benefit of mouse and keyboard, because mouse and keyboard is just a better way to play most games, with the exception of driving and fighting games. Those are the two that are better on console.
It's not as good for like platforming games as well. So kind of like if you're playing something like Uncharted, you wouldn't want to play that on a keyboard and mouse.
Uncharted would be fine.
Nah, because you wouldn't get analog control for the movement. You'd be doing it on the keyboard. That would be very fun.
Uncharted, it was something like a 2D platform game like Super Meat Boy or something is better on a gamepad because I've tried it.
Yeah. But you can plug a gamepad.
Which is strange, actually,
you can plug a gamepad
like
into a PC anyway, though, so it doesn't really matter. It's not as big a deal breaker. I mean, you can use a gamepad on the PC.
So that's what I do for like games with like Grand Theft Auto and stuff. You know, I'll have the gamepad for the driving bits and the mouse keyboard for the shooty bang bang bits.
That's true. There's a lot more wacky peripherals you can get on the PC. I say wacky peripherals. That is again all coming to. It's all convergence. There's going to be one system in the future, probably. Well, there isn't actually because that's fiscally irresponsible. But in terms of like peripherals of sidewinders and like steering wheels, and that you can do a lot of cool head tracking stuff. You can do a lot of that on the PC now.
There's a lot of good stuff for disabled gamers on PC as well. There's a guy who plays games entirely with his chin. He just has a specially designed mouse so he can play games entirely with his chin.
Is it the guy who blinked out the novel?
No, I don't think it's the same guy.
All right, okay.
If I had played
I don't
games
think
with my
he
chin,
could. I don't think he could play. He would be able to play games with his chin.
He wasn't really good at it.
He'd have to blink out, Gears of War.
F.
blink, blink, wink, blink, 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 wink, blink, wink, blink, 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 wink. I think if I had to play games with my chin, I would just stop playing games. Honestly, I'd just read a lot more books.
I've sort of played games with my chin when I've been like driving in Grand Theft Auto. I would sort of use my chin and like nudge the camera.
Yeah, like kind of like your dad steering the car with his knees. You're like, no, 10 and 2, 10 and 2. Do you think? I mean, a lot of the discussion there has been focused on the tech and the cost of entry, and that perhaps PC gaming is a lot more tech obsessed. I mean, certainly you get the sort of Xbox versus PS3 fanboy wars and things, but certainly with PC games, there's a lot of talk about what's the resolution, what version of DirectX is running, what's the frame rate at XYZ, can you do full screen anti-aliasing and still keep anisotropic filtering, and all these things that I really just don't understand. I mean, I think with PC games you don't get stuff like a nice Nintendo game, something like Mario Galaxy that's not technically outstanding but visually very pleasing, or Okami would be the other kind of one. It's a really nice looking game, but it's a Wii game. I think with PC games, it's a lot more focus on pushing the most polygons, and there's not necessarily the same attention to detail in terms of aesthetic design, except from the indie developers and people like that.
I don't think it's fair
he snuck in the indie game
I don't think
bit at the end, which would have been the sort of rebuttal.
I don't think it's fair to exclude indie game developers anymore, because I think they're making as much money as normal developers these days. People like PopCap, they call it indie game developer. Nah, not on your life. They're not.
PopCap are making games for both things. People
both things.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're making games for PC.
Yeah, I know.
Or some like Team Metas and people like that.
PC gaming, I don't know if it's tech obsessed. I think it's a choice that you make whether you want to be tech obsessed or not. Most games these days you can install them and play them, and you don't have to worry about what resolution it's going to be, how high your anti-aliasing you want. If you want to change those things, then you're welcome to do it. But most games these days, things like when I played Dragon Age 2, that's a fairly recent one. I just booted it up and it was all there for me. Although there was on the flip side, there are those you get. It's like anything, you get extremes. I think the good example is when Crysis 2 came out, and everybody was like, "Oh, you can't change the aspect ratio, and you can't change
the depth of field or something like
that."
Yeah,
the depth of field issue, and then Rock Paper Shotgun just took it to a whole new level, and it was just great.
That was really funny. Did you find whenever you start up a new PC game for the first time, you normally have to change the resolution? So I was playing Borderlands the other night, and it looked pantaloons until I'd been the whole way through the settings. And I often find any game like StarCraft, Left 4 Dead, it generally doesn't start up on the native resolution of your computer, and it generally does take a bit of tweaking to find a sweet spot with it.
I kind of enjoy that a little bit, though.
Tech obsessed.
In the same way that I like to read sort of manuals whenever I get something new.
I still love
I kind of like that. Like, how do I start to tool this and tailor it to what I'm going to be using it for?
I like having...
And even in terms of PC games, something that annoys the hell out of me on consoles is that they never let me map buttons to how I want to play them. They'll give you maybe 3 sort of setups, But like on Left 4 Dead, or like I've got a specific way I like to play on if I've got a control. Like ideally, I'd like to click the right stick to jump, so I can look.
Do you
and
play with your
jump.
feet? Yeah.
I have to sort of play with my teeth, and I just kind of
Play with your chin?
like Hendrix. I just kind of have to
Like Hendrix, because Hendrix
like
was known for his awesome game playing skills.
the buttons.
He was a beast at Pac-Man, even though he died years before it came out. I heard it was very good.
Sometimes I have this feeling these days that developers are increasingly trying to control the way you play games, and also the way you, like, I don't know. Well, they're trying to limit the gamer's control over how they play the game, and part of that is the whole you know that's what I like about PC gaming is that you can change the resolutions, you can change all of that stuff, and you can tweak it. You can even go into the script files and change like individual things. Like on Armour 2 has this it's not a particularly well optimized game. It has this thing where the grass, it's got like great sort of grass textures and stuff, but they take up a huge amount of processing power. But you can go into the script of the game and change it so that it doesn't take up quite as much power. You can like reduce the size of the grass, or you can stop it. You can stop the way the shadows change as you move constantly, and that's constantly doing that. You can stop that from happening so that it runs faster, and So, but you don't have to do that. You can, it's just all about how deep you want to go into it. You don't have to know these things to play PC games. All you have to know really is how to install them, and that still is. Even though, to be honest, having played PC games, I don't really notice it anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to say like having bought all of my games on Steam now.
Yeah,
sort of takes out the sting of the install process.
I guess that's true. You can just load them in. I just wanted to say that the talk about the grass and the shadows is definitely the nerdiest thing ever said in this podcast. And I think that's a good achievement. Well, no, that's a good point about the controls, because I was playing Bad Company 2 on the Xbox, and I was like, it was something really stupid. Like, every time I tried to run, I ended up throwing a grenade. As you can imagine, I'm not very good at this game. And I tried to remap the controls and the options, and I just couldn't get it the way I wanted. And a lot of console games are just like, here's your controls, and you're sticking to them. Explosion Man takes it to a good extreme where you can change the controls, but all the buttons say explode, and you get an achievement for changing your controls anyway, just for trying. But another thing about control is, of course, DRM. And that is one thing that PC gaming is getting worse for, I think, rather than better. Obviously the console, you get your disc, it's copy protected, but not very well. And Bulletstorm leaked for the 360 before the PC version did. And obviously consoles have had their fair share of piracy, and the PS3 was recently jailbroken, whatever you want to say. But PC games, now you're getting this even worse DRM. So previously it was things like, what's it called, Secure ROM?
those Secure ROM.
And there's horrible rootkit things that you used to install really maliciously.
Ubisoft's notorious one is called Unilock.
Unilock?
Which is just like...
It sounds like that should be on a bike.
The most oppressive...
It sounds like a brand of medieval chastity belt.
It sounds like a brand of oppression.
Unilock branded oppression.
Yeah.
Coming soon to the Middle
Unilock
East.
Oppression Corporation.
That...
No, that was it.
You're not even going to talk about Assassin's Creed 2 and how if you got disconnected from the internet.
You've gone on many a rant, my friend. On
Yeah.
DRM and
Don't make me whip out your own website.
Need for an internet connection in...
I did an article on DRM, and I actually did research for this article, and I looked at the license agreement for Far Cry 2, which was one of the games just before this new Unilock DRM came out, and I was looking through the license agreement, and it said you're not allowed to use this game against morality.
Against morality?
Against morality, and I was like, okay, what does that mean? What does it mean? Think of a way that you could use a game against morality. The only thing I thought of was maybe commit adultery with it.
You could cut a line of coke with the Far Cry 2 disc. You could slash a nun's face with a copy of Far Cry 2.
That would be illegal, though. That wouldn't be immoral.
Immoral?
You're not talking about...
You could legally marry a game and then cheat on it with another game.
So you could marry two games?
Yeah.
Bigamist.
Bigamist, yeah.
But that... Yeah, okay. So you could commit bigamy.
But you need to find
games.
like a priest who would be willing to do that.
I'm
not sure.
I can feel
Not
this
sure that
podcast
would really happen.
spiraling into a 5-hour discussion on the very nature of morality that'll take us to the heart of our souls.
But anyway,
let's just move swiftly on against morality.
Yeah.
The fact that they have to put in something which is
It's just-
intentionally nebulous to cover themselves.
It's just a catch-all clause. They don't. The legal eagles probably don't even know what it means themselves.
I know
It's
what
just-
it is. It's to stop people from drawing big willies in the game's map editor. Would that not be something they could argue as being against morality? A big erect phallus.
Well, people have been
Throbbing
drawing
with
big
trees.
phalluses throughout history. So
I'm drawing a big phallus right now. You just can't see my laptop screen. That's what I do whenever I'm not talking.
phalluses throughout history. That'd be an interesting book to read. I don't know if too much reading involved.
Is it a pop-up book? only if you wanted to be.
So yeah,
So yeah. Oh, God, that's it. That's it.
We
So
almost
there
got
are-
towards an intellectual discussion then. It kind of
no,
just
we'll,
No,
fell
no,
on
no,
the
we'll bring
plate.
it. We'll
Then
bring
I-
it back into the piracy stuff.
Then I whipped out a big floppy phallus joke.
So a lot. So a lot of some of the piracy means that they've been going. There's some where you have to be connected to the internet while you play a game, and while that's fine for obviously a multiplayer game, a lot of single player games that were coming out, Assassin's Creed, I'm pretty sure as well. You would have to be online. No, it was Command and Conquer,
The
wasn't
worst
it?
one was actually Splinter Cell Conviction,
Yeah.
where if your connection dropped, it would just kick you out of the game entirely, and you'd have to start it all.
So
over again.
essentially, it was pinging back and forth because it knows, like anyone, if you just type in anything and torrent, you can get it for free online. And in the old days, you would just have, well, actually, in the old days for the LucasArts games, you would tend to look in the manual and it would say enter the third word from the fourth paragraph.
Yeah.
And that was the way of making sure that you had bought a physical copy. That essentially changed into the key generators, but then people can quite easily crack those key generators.
Yeah.
And so now, one of their approaches that is, as it keeps getting sort of cracking down harder and harder, that permanence, like we're going to keep checking whether or not you've stolen or you're playing a pirated copy.
Well, one of the most effective types of DRM is, of course, BattleNet, which is Blizzard's online service. StarCraft 2 is completely online. You can't play it without logging into your BattleNet account.
Well,
it means that
but
you can log in from any computer into your account, and that's all well and good. But you can't play single player offline. You just can't get into it.
There are ways though, because I was on.
Was that the kind of
I was
guest
on a-
account type thing you
Well,
can
no,
do?
I was on a torrent site and there were torrents for StarCraft 2 on there, so someone's got something. Unless it's just,
Well, that's the
a
thing,
giant
they'll always
Trojan
try
horse.
Yes, I guess for every piece of DRM it'll exist, there'll be somebody sad enough to do some kind of tool pretending to be BattleNet, pinging back and
around
forth.
it.
And that's how you would break the Ubisoft thing. Not that we endorse piracy or anything, but it's
people
fairly
have
obvious
broken
to
it,
do
but-
that kind of thing.
Like Ubisoft have now scaled back this DRM. They're not using it anymore. Like Brotherhood hasn't got it.
There's
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I should put.
there's the,
Yeah,
the,
keep it simple.
the various humble indie bundles have been DRM free.
Yeah.
You literally just download it and go.
Yeah, I got World of
And-
Goose DRM free.
And I was going to say, actually, piracy in an online sense is nothing new. I think the games industry are sort of late to find a solution to it, because if you look at music industry, Napster being, of course, was a sort of, it was like 10 years ago
I think
now or
Napster
something.
just brought it to the fore and made it really obvious.
That brought it to
that
the fore, and then, well, the solution then has come through in the form of iTunes and things like Spotify. It's not a great way. They're not making as much money as if each one was a physical copy, but there's certain benefits to it and there's certain drawbacks there. But they found a workable solution to it, and the games industry are still sort of trying to find what that means. And in terms of cracking down, like the harder you crack down, well, you're just asking someone to sort of pirate it, and then it gives sort of people who want to pirate sort of an excuse. It's like, oh, well, I don't want this person controlling my stuff, so I'll just steal it, because we all know Jakies have got broadband.
I mind.
But-
He's StarCraft 2, by the way. I play as a Zerg mine.
Oh, pal, you got a keygen for Create Suite 5.
this
but,
is getting worse.
But there are all sorts of arguments that I've heard. Like one of them came from the Marcus Persson, the guy who made Minecraft, is that piracy isn't theft, because when you steal something, you take that thing away, but when you pirate something, you don't actually take the object away.
You are
That's-
taking
I
away
think-
somebody's revenue.
Yeah, I think in terms of a transaction, you're robbing them
So that's the other one.
of that.
Does piracy count as a lost sale?
No, I think it's naive to look at again the torrent lists and say like each of these is a lost box that would have moved off a shelf or gone through their official site. But the fact is that while some people will just download anything because it's free, in the same way that you hand out a free hat to someone, even if it's ugly, someone's going to take it and wear it.
What is it, you in hats? It's hats. It's always hats.
They're everywhere. But when if you look at sort of again the sort of progression in the music side, Radiohead they did theirs. They got a lot of bit of publicity, probably just because it's Radiohead, but they offered a pay as you go, or pay what you want for their In Rainbows album. Do you know what the actual average was?
Probably about £2 or something.
Yeah, the average was standing at about £4 or £5, and that's because the vast majority of people, like me, just plugged in zero. And I ended up deleting it because I didn't really particularly like the album.
I paid
So in a
£6 for it off iTunes. Great album.
I bought a physical copy.
So again,
PC Gamer bought a physical copy of
Grandpa.
it and I didn't like
so
it.
there, like the benefit is okay. Well, someone like I wouldn't have really listened to Radiohead like any other time. Tried it, didn't like it. So again, no loss there. But so the point I was trying to get back to ages ago, you mentioned World of Goo.
Yeah.
So they did pay what you want for World of Goo, and so they offered it for essentially free, and a lot of people took up that offer, put in zero, or I think $1 might have been the minimum, and quite happily did it. But in World of Goo, they've got a leaderboard where they can see everyone who's playing, and you would rank up your little Goo tower, and they still found out that they had 80% piracy. So it's not the price, it's not performance, because World of Goo can run on a notepad. Like not a notebook, like physical paper and pen will run this game.
I think if it was impossible for people to torrent movies and music and games, sales would be much higher. I think if it was absolutely impossible for you to download a film, people would simply pay for them as entertainment. But because it's an avenue and it's there, people don't buy them. And I'm not necessarily saying that if you download 20 movies and watch them all, that is 20 lost cinema trips. But I think it's obviously contributing to lots of money.
And there is the argument there that the industry should adapt to the way people want to watch it. I mean, why can't you or maybe not download the physical copy? Why can't you stream? I don't know, what's the movie that's coming up? The next Batman movie. Why can't I sit and stream that on my laptop the day it comes out?
That's it. Yeah.
And I could I'll pay whatever. It's going to be less than I'd pay to go see a cinema because it's not going to cost them as much.
Well, you could. I don't see why it wouldn't be acceptable to pay a £5 and then stream it.
Yeah.
Rather than pay £7 your rip-off cinema ticket, £5 for your cold popcorn, £2.50 for your watery Coke,
$1.50 for your 3D for your 3D movie, and then another 50p for your 3D glasses,
which you sometimes aren't allowed to keep.
But then there are some people, like I saw Grindhouse, the double feature. I saw the Cameo Cinema in Edinburgh, the local cinema here, and that was very much a cinema experience. That would not have been the same on a laptop or on a TV at home. But sort of they say, well, if people for games though, where you can download a lot of these games legally from the websites or through Steam or Impulse or the various other sites, people just pirate stuff because they like getting stuff for free on the web. It's sort of a hard thing. So
Steam itself is a form of DRM ultimately.
That's true.
Completely closed system.
It's in a way, I don't mind it. I love Steam.
No, yeah, it's because it's not.
I think it's really convenient.
Yeah, it's really good. Just really convenient. It's got some really good deals on it. Not all the time, but some I don't know. I suppose the amount of money I spent over Christmas during the Steam sale is probably quite shocking if I went back and looked at it.
I think one thing that I haven't pointed out, which is quite bizarre because I normally make some kind of Mac-related point, is that the Mac's actually in quite a good position now to be a good market for games because you've got Steam and things like Civ 5. I got Civ 5 for the PC. It works on the Mac as well, but you've also got the Mac App Store. And one thing the Mac App Store does is it allows people to put out games for free. One thing that Piracy does is if you're a 2D boy and you develop World of Goo, right, and you charge a tenner for it, and somebody pirates that, you get no money. But you also have a choice that you can do an ad-supported version of your game for free. So people who like games for free can still play them for free, and they can get money for that. So one thing that's things like the App Store, and if Steam offered a similar service, it empowers the developers to make money whatever way they want, and so they have a choice of they say, right, people are probably going to steal Angry Birds, why don't we just do it for free and make a bit of money off the ads? And so that's one situation in which things like the Mac App Store and potentially, well, obviously Android market as well, but potentially things like Steam would counteract DRM. So if people are going to download it for free, then you can say, let's just make it free.
Yeah, and although it's not maybe specifically the case with Angry Birds, a lot of those kind of casual social games, the base thing is free, and then the way they make revenue is through the in-app purchases or the microtransactions. The people who go, well, you know what, I do want to spend 50 pence to buy some seeds for whatever, my plot of garden.
Have you ever paid for an in-app purchase?
I did, but I have on Team Fortress 2. I did, like I said, I bought something from their store because I didn't want to grind for it, and I wasn't getting in a random drop, and that was,
does DLC count as an in-app purchase? Is it just another horrible thing that I hinted at my hatred for in my sarcastic book?
Well, I think on like sort of not as too much aside, so I find DLC is like so pre-planned now.
The one that disgusted me was Assassin's Creed 2, where it just left out 2 chapters of the game. Where 1 minute Ezio was in Florence, and now he's in Spain. It left out the whole.
Now he's in China.
So say like double.
When did his voice change?
Double Fine I find particularly off-putting now, where they're putting out very small games like Costume Quest and Stacking, but then there's also DLC for that, and I don't really understand why, because they're sort of 4 or 5 hour experiences. So why not just give me this extra hour or 2 in there? It's so pre-planned because it brings around the second round of announcements and teasers and previews, and it's a second spike for them.
I guess that's probably why. Just make a bit of extra money.
A lot of DLCs usually mediocre as well. Like there was a big push for the new Mass Effect 2 Arrival DLC, which is going to be part of the Mass Effect 3 plot, incidentally, which is kind of like a way to kind of make people buy it.
I don't buy that, because they said the same thing about the Mass Effect 1 DLC, Bring Down the Sky, and it. I did download Bring Down the Sky.
That was that even relevant?
Well, they said the Batarians were in it. The big guys with the six eyes, the bug-eyed guys. They were going to be really important. It turns out they're really important because you're going to shoot a lot of them in Mass Effect 2, but not necessarily for the story. I refuse to buy Arrival. That said, Lair of the Shadow Broker is possibly the best DLC ever. It's fantastic.
So on the point of DRM, I was going to try have the next round of the game show.
Oh,
to cap us off maybe.
I'd almost forgotten about it because I thought I wouldn't have to give up my flake.
No, too bad, man. I was going to try to look at sales and see if you guys could guess what the top PC games are, but the NPD, the group that collates and tallies up the number of sales of games, they don't really release a lot of their stuff public anymore, because game journalists in their infinite wisdom were citing them wrong, using the numbers out of context, and generally just buggering up all the work they were doing.
Okay.
So they don't do that anymore. So I did the next best thing, and I went onto Pirate Bay, and I tallied up the top number of seeds. So this is just a straight quickfire round. Give me the top 3 games on the PC game right now.
Okay, StarCraft, Crisis 2, and Bulletstorm.
Crisis 2. Alan gets 1 point. Right, keep going. Fast round. Quick.
Dragon Age 2.
No.
Come on.
So it's already been mentioned.
I didn't get a clue. I told you.
I'm trying to think of ones that he didn't say. Dragon Age 2, Crisis, and...
Okay, well...
I don't like it when I'm put on the spot.
That's fine. Well, okay, the top
You're
the
lucky
top
I didn't
3.
punch you.
That's fine. I'll take this bet and we'll do the next round. On the next round anyway, it's fine.
Portal 2? I don't know.
No, Portal 2's not out yet.
And
it's through Steam as well, so I didn't see any Steam or Valve games on that list. But, alright, well, top 3 games, it was Crisis, which had about 20,000 people downloading it right now. And then second was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which had about 8,000. And then Sims Medieval, which had 7,000.
Sims Medieval? Come
Sims
on.
Medieval.
We were real men, we don't play this kind of game.
So you're saying Crisis 2, and came up a lot in the beginning. So here's this one, right? Next, so we'll do this as the round. So point 4, you can get the order of which platform sold the most for Crisis 2. It was released on the Xbox 360, PS3, and PC, as we said.
360, PS3, PC.
Yeah.
Okay, you both get a point.
But I said first.
That's a lot easier.
Well, that was only retail sales. That didn't include online downloads.
That's true.
So no wonder the PC was last, because PC games don't get stocked in retail stores anymore.
Yeah, games.
Well, that was actually from that list that I pulled it from. That was going off Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk and Amazon.co.
Well, that's interesting.
.jp.
There you go.
So I had this sort of. This was actually I just pulled this from Gamasutra.
Amazon.co.jp. You mean somebody bought an Xbox game in Japan?
Well, I mean, you can look at it in terms of territories.
Okay.
And in Japan, it wasn't Crisis. The top-selling PC game in Japan is Monster Hunter Frontier Online 2010 Anniversary Package.
It's always Monster Hunter. Always.
That's also number 3, actually. It's Monster Hunter Frontier Online Season 10.
PSP,
I've never heard of that. I don't even know what it is.
The reason the PSP outsells the DS and even the 3DS is because of Monster Hunter and dating simulations, I think, is the other one.
But yeah, anyway, there you go. Oh well, my game show sucked.
It didn't suck. I enjoyed it.
Well, the winner was Rick.
Oh.
The winner is you. How's that go?
A winner is you.
A winner is you.
Congratulations.
All your flakes that belong to us.
I have to give one of my flakes.
You don't have to give one of your flakes.
My mum bought me that Easter egg. It's the only one I've got.
Alright, well, to cap this roadshow off, what's your favourite PC game, Rick?
Off the top of my head, probably The Witcher. Certainly in recent years, The Witcher. You know, you've got classics like Thief 2. That's a good one, but you know, at the moment, probably The Witcher as a pure PC game.
Can I pick 3?
You can pick 3. I'm only going to let you say 1 though.
Okay. Half-Life Roller Coaster Red Alert 2 Tycoon. You swore again. That's what you get for not letting me win the quiz. What's your favourite PC game? Was it also Half-Life Roller Coaster Red Alert Tycoon 2?
Team Fortress 2.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah.
I think this is the longest podcast we've ever done. In fact, I don't think, I know